Welcome into the Michigan Football Report. Ladies and gentlemen, Michigan wins against Northwestern 20-17 on the road in Evanston, Illinois. The Wolverines come back from a 17-0 deficit early on to get the victory. Stock up, stock down, something to prove. Who did good things versus Northwestern? Who struggled? Who still is kind of uncertain? They've got some potential, but they're not yet reaching it. Let's get into the stock up. Best player on defense today was Chase Winovich. He was my player of the game. Winovich was all over the field today. When you come down, if you land an alien spaceship on Earth and said, hey, who's the best player in the field on the defense right now for that team in maize and blue, I guess, in the white jerseys for tonight? 9 tackles, 8 solo tackles, 3 tackles for loss, and a sack. Chase Winovich was all over the field, and this is about the 3rd game in a row he's really impressed. I did think he struggled against Northwestern. Didn't make as many plays in that game as I thought was needed for Michigan to get the victory. But with that being said, Chase Winovich is number 1 on my stock up. Big game for him. He's having a heck of a year. Next up, the offensive player of the game today, Karan Higdon, doing it for the 2nd week in a row after missing a game a couple weeks ago. And really, 3 out of the last 4 games, he has come out on fire, at least in the first couple quarters, first quarter of 2 games, and today really was just a workhorse. Didn't have the big runs, didn't certainly have the yards per carry that we've seen from him prior in the season, but overall, as a game, 2 touchdowns, 30 carries. Michigan has not had, typically given running backs under Jim Harbaugh that many carries, 115 yards, put 2 in the end zone, and he came out looking like he was ready to play today. Couple big runs for him. Certainly didn't have any breakaway 70-yard touchdowns by any means, but Karan Higdon is my offensive player of the game today. He is stock up. Let's keep this bad boy moving to Nico Collins. All right, Nico Collins has had a pretty good game today. He certainly didn't score a touchdown, didn't set any Michigan football records for receiving, but made a nice comeback, a nice reemergence as maybe Michigan's best wide receiver. And he had 6 catches, 73 yards today, and a long of 36. No touchdowns, and no touchdowns through the air for Michigan football today. But Nico Collins reemerged. He's kind of been hot and cold, guys. He's been hot and cold. Sometimes they have 1 catch, sometimes they have a 50-yard catch down the field, sometimes they score a touchdown, and then he disappeared a couple games this year. With the potential reemergence of Tariq Black in a few games, Michigan could really have a 3-headed monster at wide receiver with Collins and Black, and then, of course, Donovan Peoples-Jones. But I want to ask, now we've kind of gone through half of our stock up, who is Michigan's MVP? Watching on Chat Sports YouTube, Michigan Wolverines by Chat Sports Facebook Live. Who is Michigan's team MVP? I think it's down to 4 candidates right now. Devin Bush, Chase Winovich, Shea Patterson, and Karan Higdon. I think it'd be definitely Higdon had he not missed a game and set out second halves of a couple games to kind of dumb his stats down a little bit. But I think it's definitely between those 4 guys as of now. I'm going to give it to Shea Patterson and Winovich. It's a tie, but I think one more big game from Rashawn Gary, and he can certainly make it happen. Let's keep it rolling on here on our Stock Up Michigan Football Report. Stock up, stock down. Something to prove after the 2017 victory over at Northwestern. I have punter Will Hart. How about Will Hart? Look at the stats for this young man, the punter for the University of Michigan, that, I'll tell you what, he could be a candidate for the team MVP if he keeps it going. 6 punts tonight, over 300 yards in punting yards, 51 yards per punt average, and it wasn't like he got some booming 80-yard punts to get this up there. Everyone's consistent as long punt is only 55 yards. 2 were put inside the 20, and only 1 touchback. So he's gonna mastered 6 punts. 2 of them were inside the 20, and only put 1 into the end zone. So Will Hart, definitely a big-time game. Looking forward to him continuing this All-American level punting that he is on. The second half defense is just a strength this entire season, but definitely in the 2 games they have potential to lose. Notre Dame, which they did lose, and tonight at Northwestern, the second half defense really stood up. Now, Northwestern's offense got off to a very hot start against Michigan's defense. Michigan was down 17-0. And if you take that into consideration and look at the total game stats, Michigan's defense really showed up in the second half. So props to them. Take a look at this. 94 yards rushing, passing for Northwestern in the first quarter, 11 yards rushing. You flip it over to the full game, and it doesn't change by a whole much. Just a couple more yards on offense rushing for Northwestern, and then 100 or so more yards passing. But to hold Northwestern to only 202 yards for the entire game is impressive, given the fact They had around 100 or so in the first quarter alone, and we're up 17-0 just slightly into the second quarter. So Michigan, had some things to prove after a rough start from this one, but the second half defense, which has done all year, did against Notre Dame, did against Northwestern, and certainly proved out against teams like SMU and just absolutely annihilated Western Michigan and Nebraska. Second half defense really came to play, and they are stocked up. I am giving away Michigan football jerseys thanks to our sponsor, BetDSI, chatsports.com/bet. I want to hold this jersey up really quick right here. This is the one with the Jumpman logo. I've got an inventory of these bad boys I can send to you. Take a look at this promo we've got going on right here. All you got to do is head over to chatsports.com/bet. Bet on Michigan next week versus Maryland. Use that promo code GOBLUE when you start for 120% cash bonus. You DM me on Twitter, and I will send you a Michigan football maize jersey. No questions asked. No jersey giveaway to one lucky winner. Everybody who does it's going to get one. So make sure to head to chatsports.com/bet. Get started with BetDSI. Put some money down. 120% cash bonus. Use that promo code GOBLUE, make a bet on Michigan, Maryland, and you will get a free Michigan jersey if you DM me on Twitter. Let's take a look at stock down, ladies and gentlemen. Jim Harbaugh, and most notably, his motivation to get a team going to win a big game on the road. I don't know what it's going to take for Jim Harbaugh to get a team to travel on the road against a team with a pulse and come out and make big plays to start the game. Northwestern's offense absolutely crushed Michigan's defense to start the game. Michigan's offense did absolutely nothing versus Northwestern in the first quarter. Why does this keep happening? Same thing in Notre Dame. Same thing in SMU. You got Western Michigan a disaster. Nebraska, you saw what they look like versus Purdue today. They're a disaster. So any team with a pulse at all, Michigan comes out sluggish, unmotivated, and isn't coming ready to play. Jim Harbaugh is stocked down. He is not getting his team ready. Mostly pre-game Jim Harbaugh, motivation Harbaugh. What happened to Harbaugh knocking guys in the chest, smacking guys' head around? Why can't he motivate a guy like Sean McCune, who's been in the program for a number of years, to catch passes like this? I mean, it's ridiculous. Jim Harbaugh's got to get this team coming ready to play, or Michigan will be facing 4 more losses this season, and definitely 2 losses of Michigan State and Ohio State. Those games on the road. Penn State's looking good. Wisconsin certainly has a lot of talent. Michigan needs to come out motivated, or if not, Jim Harbaugh is going to struggle as Michigan's coach, long term. And with that being said, will Michigan ever win a national title under Jim Harbaugh? It's a question I want you to answer. If you're watching on YouTube, Chat Sports YouTube, Michigan Wolverines by Chat Sports Facebook Live. Will Jim Harbaugh ever win a national title at Michigan? Comment below. I would have told you 3 years ago, 100%, absolutely, probably by year 3, guaranteed. But I'm starting to question it a lot. I really am starting to question it. The offense they run is something out of the 1990s Cleveland Browns. It's just not it's not a modern offense by any means. You've got an arm talent in Shea Patterson. Michigan maybe certainly hasn't had in over a decade, maybe ever, as far as just the ability to throw the ball downfield, yet they're not playing to his strengths. So will he ever win a national title at Michigan? Answer below in the comments. I'll jump in there and tell you my thoughts in the comment section. Jim Harbaugh is stocked down after the 20-17 win over Northwestern on the road. Also stocked down, kind of, I guess piggybacking on Harbaugh, the first quarter offense. This is the 3rd out of 5 games that the first quarter offense, and as SMU and Notre Dame, it was really the first half and beyond offense, was an absolute disaster. Take a look at these stats from Michigan's offense in the first quarter versus Northwestern. This is preposterous. 21 yards. They were 3 and out, and then they went forward on 4th down. And McCune dropped that ball, went for it on 4th down, didn't get it. 1 first down in the first quarter, ladies and gentlemen. 1 penalty for 15 yards, okay. But then 0-3 off 3rd down, 0-4 on 4th down, and it was a play that was literally 4th and a half yard, and they still were an inch short. Karan Higdon didn't get it. Sean McCune dropped the ball prior to it. Michigan went for it, 4th down around midfield. And it was just lack of any sort of creativity from Jim Harbaugh and the Michigan offensive coaching staff. So the first quarter offense has been terrible the entire year. I want to know who is to blame. If you're watching on Facebook Live, go ahead and press that reaction button. Coaching, O-line, quarterback, or the wide receivers. If you're watching on YouTube, just go ahead and comment one of those. Or if you've got an emoji keyboard, certainly type the emoji in there. I want to know from you guys. I'm blaming it on coaching. I really am blaming it on coaching because they get to set the game plan. They get to set the scripted plays to start games, and if they set their team up the right way, Michigan will be scoring more touchdowns against teams with any sort of talent on the defensive side. The Michigan offense will be able to move the ball to start games. Keep it moving, stock down. How about the wide receivers? They've been so, helter-skelter, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. One day, a guy's crushing it, like Donovan Peoples-Jones, 3 touchdowns, and then he's got a punt return. Another game you don't hear from. Nico Collins scores a touchdown. Then you don't hear from. Look at the production today. 6 catches, 2 catches, 0, 0, 0 from your next 3 wide receivers, kind of on the depth chart. Oliver Martin, Grant Perry battling out for that slot spot. Ronnie Bell got in the game early. He had a touchdown last week versus Northwestern. Then you don't hear from him again this week, although he did pop back there for a punt return that I believe went out of bounds. The wide receiver production was just uninspiring today. Didn't make it happen, and it doesn't seem Michigan can get more than one guy going in a single game. Next up on my stock down, how about Sean McCune? Come on, man. I'm covering my mouth because I don't want to scream loud at the plays this guy's made. 2 of the last 3 weeks, he's made the boneheaded play of the game. A couple weeks ago against SMU was that stopping short and letting a guy intercept Shea Patterson's ball in the end zone. This week it is dropping a wide open, beautifully passed ball from Shea Patterson. I'm talking about this thing was a beauty. He just lofted it out there. McCune was wide open by 6 yards in any direction, and he completely dropped it. I can't just tell you how done I am with Sean McCune. His stock is down, and with the emergence of Nick Eubanks, I think that Michigan needs to put McCune to the bench, maybe permanently, with his playing time at Michigan going forward. Sean McCune on my stock down, but I want to tell you about BetDSI and how you can get a free maize football jersey from the Michigan Football Report, Chat Sports, and myself. I'm going to pack it up and wrap it to you. It's this one right here, the Nike, the Jordan logo, everything like that, the number 1. We're going to send it to you. You get started with our partner, BetDSI. You deposit them. New users only. Don't be one of these guys. I know how to catch you guys trying to double up, getting a couple jerseys here and there. You got to bet on Michigan. You put in a deposit, you get 120% bonus. You put in 50, you get 60 free. 100 deposit, you get 120. You bet on Michigan versus Maryland. You don't have to take Michigan if you don't want to. You can bet the over/under. You can bet anything you want. Just put a bet down on the Michigan game next week versus Maryland. Anyway, then DM me on Twitter. Tell me, hey, I got it going. I bet on Michigan. I'll ask you for some information, and we will ship you a Michigan football maize jersey. No questions asked. You will get it as long as you take advantage of those. You do those 3 things. Take advantage of this offer before Michigan kicks off against Maryland next Saturday in Ann Arbor for homecoming. So that is our jersey giveaway. Now I want to talk about tackling. What is the deal with Michigan starting games poorly, not being able to tackle guys? It looked like a rich rod defense on this play coming up we're going to show here. Northwestern's J.J. Jefferson, and a play that should have gone for less than 10 yards, goes almost nearly a touchdown, and Michigan just misses tackles at every single possible way they could. Take a look at here. Northwestern just inside the Michigan 40. A 3-yard, actually a reverse pass, a negative 1-yard pass, and the guy smokes 8 Michigan players. 5 missed tackles probably there, gets inside the 1-yard line, and they subsequently punch it in from there. Awful tackling by Michigan football today, and they really need to clean that up going forward. Let's take a look next up on my stock down following a 20-17 victory versus Northwestern on the road. Michigan coming back from 17-0. It is Rashawn Gary. He is definitely a stock down for me. Rashawn Gary, I don't know what to make of this guy, guys. I just don't know what to tell you. He is not a superstar. He is not an All-American. And he got injured today, didn't return to the game. Reports out there that he came back with a sling on his shoulder. He's just not cutting it as far as the expectations of the number 1 recruit. You think about guys like Myles Garrett. You think about players like the player from South Carolina, Jadeveon Clowney, that D-headed a Michigan player about 7-8 years ago. That's the expectation I had. The Bosa brothers of Ohio State I had for Rashawn Gary. We're not getting it. He's not making an impact. You take someone who doesn't follow football. Who's the best player out there? It's pretty easy to spot. It's never Rashawn Gary when you're looking at Chase Winovich, when you're looking at Khaleke Hudson, when you're looking at Devin Bush. Rashawn Gary not getting it done. He is stocked down. And is he overrated? Type yes, Y for yes. Type N for no. Is Rashawn Gary overrated? Has he lived up? He's about 75% of the way through his career at Michigan, right? He's going to probably go to the NFL for this year. Some people are still claiming he's going to be a first-round draft pick, although I don't know why. if he goes pro for this year, we've seen 75% of his career. Has he been overrated? Type Y for yes. Facebook Live, Chat Sports YouTube, type Y for no. Let me know. I'll jump in and tell you what I think. I think you pretty much know what it is right now. I definitely think that he has not lived up to the hype. He is overrated. Let's talk about who has something to prove. It's Michigan football on the road. What's going on the road? I mean, it's been 12 years. Can we just do something on the road? This is not Indiana. This is not Illinois. It's not Rutgers. This is Michigan football. You haven't beat a ranked team on the road in 12 seasons now, and then you struggle. You lose 2 years ago as the number 2 team in the country. You lose to Iowa on the road. You struggle. You lose to Wisconsin when you're up. Double digits against Wisconsin, a game you should have won. You lose to Notre Dame to start the year. You struggle this year against Northwestern. Last year you struggled a little bit at Purdue. You struggled at Indiana. Like, these are not teams Michigan should be struggling with. Michigan on the road has something to prove, and they're going to have an opportunity in 3 weeks, and they go up to East Lansing to take on the Spartans. And if they lose that game, I don't know what to tell you about the future of Jim Harbaugh with this program. He might not get fired, he might not go elsewhere, but my expectation is going to come way down if they lose that game in East Lansing, and frankly, the game prior to it, first Wisconsin at home. Talk about Shea Patterson's passing. That has something to prove for me. He's had a nice year. He's certainly better than the players that Michigan had at the quarterback position last year, but again, 15 of 24, has yet to have a game that he's thrown over 30 passes, threw 30 against Notre Dame, where Michigan really had to throw a bunch down the stretch to come back from a 3-score deficit. But again today, 15 of 24, doesn't have 2 wide receivers with more than 2 catches. Of course, you've got some tight ends in there getting some action, and that's fine, that's great. But why can't Michigan do what Ohio State's doing with getting 5, 6, 4 guys with 4 or 5 catches per game? It's one guy he goes to, all the wide receivers are ignored, and then he's got a lot of checkdowns to tight ends, to backs. And the passing game from Michigan, it's been nice. It's basically 200 yards, 20 or so passes, 15 or so completions every single game, but he has not broken out. If you look at Shea Patterson, 15 starts now in college. The only thing that can keep Shea Patterson below 300 yards passing is Alabama, LSU, and Jim Harbaugh's offense. That's pretty much it. Other than that, he's 300, 400, 500 yards per game. Every game at Michigan has been below 300 yards. 7 of 10 starts at Ole Miss, he was over 300 yards passing. So that Michigan passing game with Shea Patterson, something to prove. Next up, Lavert Hill, big time something to prove. I don't know where him and the next guy in this list, David Long, we kind of show you them both here together, but the quarterbacks have something to prove for Michigan. I know they've had some nice stats this year, but they're not getting the pass breakups, the interceptions, the game-changing plays that I thought you'd have. Take a look at Hill's stats here from Northwestern. 1 tackle, 1 solo tackle, 1 pass breakup, no interceptions. Not the kind of production I thought we were going to have out of Lavert Hill. We could kind of just toss it over to David Long, because he's going to be number 4 on our something to prove list. David Long, 3 tackles, only 1 solo tackle, no pass breakups, no interceptions. This Northwestern team was throwing the ball over 50 times a game coming to this one. Clayton Thorson still threw 27, 174 yards passing. Now, no touchdowns for him. Lavert Hill, David Long, guys, you want to be first-round draft picks, you want to go pro after your true junior year, you've got to make plays. You've got to start breaking up passes, making interceptions, stopping the slant routes, which Michigan got beat on several times again tonight. And lastly, something to prove is the offensive line. Frankly, it's just way too inconsistent. It's gotten better. Everyone knows how I have just riled on Little John Runyon all season. His dad, of course, Big John. This is Lil John, not the rapper, Lil John Runyon. They played okay. But they still have something to prove. They've not played a complete game against a quality opponent that you can point to and say, hey, look, the offensive line is really humming under Ed Warner. So the offensive line next week versus Maryland, going into that 3-game gauntlet, Wisconsin, Michigan State, and Penn State. 2 of those games being at home, and of course Michigan State being on the road. The offensive line, you've still got something to prove. This level of play will not certainly win the Big Ten, and it won't keep you below 3 or 4 losses if you keep going at this rate. I am James Yoder, ladies and gentlemen, the face of Michigan football media. We'll be back tomorrow with our Michigan football grades to tell you who made the grade versus Northwestern, who didn't, and what my thoughts are on each of those grades that I'm going to give you. So we will see you then. Thank you for watching.